I was keen to ask you about your draft year. Like, it's easy for us to forget now because you've been in an All-Australian squad a couple of times, and fingers crossed you might even make the 22 this year, and you're sort of a well-established AFL player, but you were drafted quite low, I think in the 50s. Like, tell us about your draft year and the fact that this career wasn't like a fait accompli, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a pretty challenging year, I suppose. It's as a kid, all I wanted to do really was play AFL, and when I was 14, 15, it sort of seemed pretty far away. And my bottom age year of 18s, I actually was still at school, so I played a lot of school footy, played a few games at Glenelg, played the last two once school footy had finished, and we were going into a final series, and I actually got dropped for that. Dropped for a couple of games, and then came in and played the grand final, which we won. And then it was my draft year the next year, and I played sort of the first 5 games at under 18s level. I ended up being captain. I had a full pre-season and played the first 5 in under 18s, and then they sort of picked the state squad and whatnot. And initially I wasn't in. They had like a group before that of maybe, I'm not sure how many got picked, but say roughly about 20 or so, and then they sort of add it from there. So I was a late addition into that, and it all moved pretty quickly. But I played every game at the Champs, came back and played a couple of games of reserves for Glenelg, and then into the league side. So finished off the year there. But in terms of even teams speaking to me, I probably had about 7 in the end. But earlier on, when they send out like the combine invites and whatnot, didn't get invited to the combine. And about a week later, they were sending out the state combine invites, and I remember my manager called me and said, I don't really know how to say this, but you haven't been invited to the state screening either. So that was pretty tough to take. I thought I'd had a really good year in my under 18s, in my top age year, and I thought to myself then, there's no chance I'll get picked up now, because I think you needed 2 clubs to nominate you or something.
I think that's right, yeah.
For a state screening, and didn't even have that. So I thought, well, no one's really looking at me here. And you sort of, as an 18-year-old, your world sort of caves in a bit. But I had fantastic people around me, my manager, Tim, and my family, my mum and my dad, great supports. And they just said, well, you can't control that, so just go out and control what you can control, and that's playing footy and still working hard on the things that you need to get better at and whatnot. So I pretty quickly just turned my focus to that, and in the end I did go to state screenings. They sort of invited me pretty late, went and did that, and then after that I probably had 5 to 7 interviews after that with clubs, but still was really unsure as to whether I was going to get picked up. So it was a pretty stressful process, but in the end very grateful that Fremantle took a chance on me at pick 58.